What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the second edition of Philly Sports Experts. Here with my co-host Matt Herman, and let's jump into it. Matt, what a terrible time it is to be a Philadelphia sports fan. You know, a couple months ago, kind of leading into everything going on with COVID-19, and everyone's home, and all of a sudden you have the Flyers in the bubble, the Sixers in the bubble, a lot of the optimism around the team. The Flyers get the first seed, and Eagles training camp's starting to go out. Team is getting ready to go, and look where we are now. Just not a great time to be a Philadelphia sports fan, let me tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I find myself almost splitting into two personalities right now. You have half of me is a delusional optimist who's telling myself, like Carson's going to even things out, and the Sixers are going to make the right moves in the offseason, and the Phillies are going to sneak into the playoffs. And then the other half of me is just filled with rage and anger and discontent towards everything that has to do with Philadelphia sports because of the incredible record of constant letdown that we've had, over the last year and years.
You said it. I think you said it best our first podcast, that Jeffrey Lurie must have signed something, because ever since that Super Bowl in 2017, sports here in this town have not been great. I mean, look at all the optimism around each team, and it is just a mess. It is just a mess. And speaking of mess, this past Sunday against the Rams was a joke. It was a flat-out joke of a performance. And you know what? I want to say I'm almost done. Or not done, but I'm at the point now where I can't make any more excuses for Carson Wentz and him in this franchise. And who knows what's going on? So overall, what was your recap of this game this past Sunday? Because it was not pretty.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Carson continued to struggle in the things we talked about last talk. I mean, make bad decisions, trying to force things, trying to do too much. I know there was a lot of talk about, Doug Peterson maybe, giving up a little more control, calling plays at the line and, adapting the looks to Carson. And I don't know if that, says he's gained confidence in Carson, or Carson, doesn't trust Doug. But, I mean, we saw it in the play call. I mean, because the one across the middle, picking the end zone to Arthega-Whiteside, I mean, right. Doug didn't really come out and own that, because it's pretty obvious that Carson was the one who made that decision to go there. The ball was not supposed to go to JJ there, and I mean, why?
It's pretty frustrating watching Carson Wentz right now. I mean, you look at how he's playing. Not only is he missing receivers, he's missing throws. He's not being accurate with the football. He's just not playing smart football. So if we look at that play, it was the third quarter. It was a 1st and 10 on the Rams' 21-yard line. You're cruising down the field. You can take the lead. You can score a touchdown and take the lead. And what does he do? He makes a desperate throw in the end zone and in double coverage, and Darius Williams picks off that ball. But first off, why is Carson Wentz making a throw like that in that situation where they're moving down the field? The offense was actually playing fundamental football, moving the chains, and he takes a risk like that. Like, Carson, you're in year 5 of your NFL career. You have to learn that you cannot do that anymore. And you watch the TV, you're like, here we go again. Carson, what are you doing, buddy? What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's just constant momentum killers. Maybe if that was DK Metcalf in the end zone, this would be a different story.
Yeah.
I think I sent you that thing earlier this week where you got to start looking at, Arthega-Whiteside over Metcalf and Terry McLaurin as like a Markelle Fultz. That's like a Markelle Fultz, Jahlil Okafor level blunder.
That's
right there.
I don't even know how you miss on that pick. Arthega-Whiteside, there was all this raving about him in training camp, and Howie Roseman came on the air and was like, he's looking good. He's different. He looks different this year. He's making catches, going up for balls. Has he even caught a ball yet? Only thing I remember from Nelson, or from not Nelson Aguilar. Speaking of Nelson Aguilar, he's had a pretty good game Sunday.
He's having a better year than any receiver on our team.
Yeah, he is. But Arthega-Whiteside, he dropped another pass. I mean, it wasn't the greatest throw, but another pass is dropped. So, I think the other point that's kind of the tipping point for me was hearing Doug Peterson after the game, and we can listen to it real quick if we hear him when he was asked about Carson Wentz. and his progression, or let's say his degression as a quarterback.
Good afternoon, Doug. In Carson's fifth year in the league and fifth year working with you, why are you seeing his production and his performance regress?
Progress?
Regress.
Oh, regress. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I did cut out there a second. It's a good question.
Right there. That, to me, not only shows that Doug Peterson has almost had enough of putting up with Carson Wentz, but it just shows that he lacks the confidence, and he's just throwing his quarterback under the bus, quite frankly. And you know what? I want to say I've defended Carson. I mean, to you, I know we've talked about we both like Carson Wentz. We see the talent he has, but I think Doug Peterson's 100% right for doing that. I mean, it's about time Carson Wentz takes some ownership. And Doug Peterson, good. Call him out. I like it. I like the move, throwing him under the bus like that. I mean, you don't always want to do that to your quarterback, but it's the same thing with Carson Wentz over and over again. He has to find a way. We can relate this almost calling him out to like what happened with Brett Brown and Ben Simmons. Ben, you can tell his family members, his friends, his agent, I want 1 3-pointer a game. To me, it's like kind of almost in the same category. He's calling out to see if this can actually get to his quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, you look at after week 1 in the NFL, Bruce Arians, head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, came out and put a couple interceptions on Tom Brady and said, that's not who I saw in training camp. That's not who Tom Brady is. Yeah, and I mean, if you can criticize, Tom Brady like that in the public, and you saw he responded well with a pretty solid performance and got his first win as a Buck in week 2, I think put a little pressure on Carson is a good thing. I'm not ready. I've gotten texts from friends and everything calling for, immediately roster overhaul, bench Wentz, start Hurts. I mean, and the thing is,
that's a little ridiculous.
But I think it's a little early now for that. I mean, especially coming off the off season that we're coming off of. I saw something. The only receiver who has played this year that has played more than 7 games with Carson Wentz is J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. And, with no preseason games to build any chemistry at all, I mean, I think our best option right now is to hope things turn around. Because, I mean, if you commit to benching Carson this year, in my mind, you're committing to this. We're not going to win this year. And like I sent you earlier this week, Donovan McNabb, his 5th year, started out 2, had worse stats than Carson Wentz, finished 12-4, and were the number 1 seed out of the NFC. Yeah.
So, I mean, you hit it on the nose. I think we have to be optimistic. It's really tough, especially right now. I think we have to be optimistic as Philadelphia sports fans, and we got to rally around this quarterback. I mean, we have seen what he can do, and I really hope 2017 was not a fluke for that kid, because he was absolutely incredible, and he was running away with the MVP, and I still think he should have won. I mean, I know he missed the last couple games, but so now if looking at the game Sunday, and we'll get to the defense, but if you look at the play calling from Doug Peterson, I want to say half of it was Doug and half of it's Carson. I know last week was probably a little bit of both too, but this week I think is more on Carson. But the whole theme of this offseason for this team was speed, speed, speed. We need receivers on the outside, and what do? They got Marcus Goodwin. I know he opted out, but they got speed. They drafted Quez Watkins, Hightower, and they took Jalen Reagor. 3 guys that can run. The farthest play they went downfield this past Sunday was 25 yards. They didn't stretch the field. So what's going on? You guys wanted speed. Okay, you have speed. Why didn't you even attempt the ball downfield? And you can't say it was the offensive line, because the offensive line played pretty good. What did we talk about last podcast? Aaron Donald was going to have a field day, and guess what? Didn't even exist on Sunday. Eagles offensive line played very well, and the fact that Carson Wentz had all that time in the pocket, that was also the problem. He's sitting in the pocket, but he didn't stretch the field at all. So, Doug, you want speed. Why are you not taking advantage of the speed you have? I don't understand that. Carson's sitting in the pocket, missing throws, but okay, but at least take a shot downfield once or twice with all that weapons he had outside. Yeah,
I mean, I agree with that, and I think maybe part of it is, because a lot of our speed is young. Any NFL cornerback will tell you they'd rather run along with someone who's that doesn't run great routes if they're fast. They're not quick out in the cut. Straight line speed is a great thing for deep passes, but I mean, there weren't many plays that I remember being like, oh, that he's open down the sideline. And especially, Rager got hurt during the game, right? He's out for a little while now.
Yeah.
I think John Hightower, they tried to talk him up in camp. I haven't really seen much from him other than that one drop pass. I haven't heard Quez Watkins' name.
I think he's on IR right now.
Yeah, I think he's hurt. And Deshaun, he's got 100-some yards across the first two games. I mean, he's been posting all over social media for months leading up to this, saying comeback's real, let's do it. And I mean, he dropped one pass. I think that was would have been a first down. And I don't know. I mean, maybe Carson this week, instead of focusing on little logistical stuff, should just be route running. Just throwing the receivers the whole time. As close to as you can get, because I mean, you got to build some kind of chemistry there.
Yeah, and then you know what? Speaking of Deshaun Jackson, he wasn't in the. You hear Doug Pearson come out and say our goal was to get him involved in the second half, and he came out and they were feeding him the ball, and that's when they were moving down the field. Doug, where's that in the first half? Where's that in the first half? You got your dynamic guy back. Feed him the ball, and guess what? If you're not going to feed him the ball, let him run, because then you open up all the things underneath for your two tight ends who are pretty darn good players. That's what doesn't make sense. That's to me where that is just mind-blowing to me, how they're not using the talent correctly. It's so sad to see, because the training camp everyone's built up with the Eagles, how the Eagles are going to be great. It's like every sports team. The Phillies are supposed to be great with all this talent. The Sixers, all this talent, and no one ever lives up to the hype. It's sad. And I think Carson's kind of pressing, because I think in 2017 he didn't really have to press. I think he just played. He didn't really have to worry about it. And now, like you mentioned before last week, that he's pressing. He has to live up to Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and all these younger quarterbacks coming up, and he feels like he needs to keep up with them. But Carson, it's not about that. It's about the team. You need to play to your strengths and play within the offense. Play within Doug's system. And yes, Doug can help you out more. Let him roll out of the pocket and other little things like that. But Carson, you need to be short and accurate with your throws. Not short, but you know what I mean. You need to be nice and accurate. You need to be efficient. Don't try to do too much.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just the way he's just got to. I mean, especially if Doug and Carson are committed to the whole, Carson calls plays at the line and reads, and he's got a lot more freedom. I think I forget who it was. It might have been Gruden during the draft when Carson was a prospect, compared him to a Peyton Manning, just his presence on the field and his football IQ. And I think if that's going to be the approach they take, where Carson has more freedom, he has to be more like Peyton Manning and how he reads the defense and the decisions that he makes all of it. Because I mean, I think he needs to not be young gunslinger Peyton Manning, where he threw a ton of interceptions. He's got to be a little bit more like Denver Broncos Peyton Manning, where it's just work your way back up. Start with the easy throws that you can make, and just focus more on letting the offense around you function. I mean, obviously Carson Wentz right now is more physically talented than old man Peyton Manning, but old man Peyton Manning is a great example of how a quarterback who is can manage and win the games without pushing the extremes of their physical capabilities, because he made smart decisions and was conservative and just let the offense run itself. And he was just the biggest cog in the machine, rather than trying to be the only guy out there.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. 100% agree. I think once Carson Wentz really kind of simplifies his game and realizes, you know what, let's forget about the outside noise. Let's just really focus on just running this offense efficiently and put all your attention to that. Then I think things will solve itself, or will figure itself out. Carson going into game feeling, I need to throw for 300-plus yards, big touchdowns, make insane plays. Carson, your natural ability, that's just going to happen. You need to just manage the team and manage the offense, because right now, he is the problem with this team. I know people have said, you listen to First Take and you listen to guys online, ESPN, people say he's problematic. No, I think Carson Wentz is the problem with this team, because if Carson Wentz plays well, I think they win games. I mean, the stat here, he had 7 total interceptions last year. Through 2 games, he has 4. So that shows you he's trying to do too much. He's trying to force throws, and he's not being a smart quarterback. And when he plays smart and he plays efficiently, he is a great player. And I think he needs to get back to that and understand he does not need to be Superman for this team to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And, last point on Carson Wentz for me is, I mean, my week goes with the Eagles. If they have a bad loss, like I'm less happy for a week.
Yeah, they lose in the weeks.
I want the rest of the season to, go well. And I have no, like I said earlier, we had no choice but to hope that Carson turns it around. I mean, I looked this week, he's 14th all time in passer rating, right? I'm just trying not to let 2 games, make me think, he's not the answer. I mean, you got to hope he is, because if he's not, then we're back to square one, and we got to figure out what we want this team to be. Like, you got to blow it up. Carson's not your guy, I think.
You know what? If this year comes to a point where if they don't make the playoffs and he really struggles this year, I think there's going to be a difficult choice in this offseason, because I don't know if Jalen Hurts is your guy. I don't know, but I don't know if Wentz could be that guy. This is going to be his 3rd year now coming back, and I mean, hopefully, like, he pulls Donovan McNabb what happened that year. So hopefully he comes back.
If we lose them all, we can take Trevor Lawrence.
No, could you imagine that? What a great. Speaking of another team that's really struggling right now, it's the team you got on your hat right now.
I've been waiting to talk about the Philadelphia Phillies now for a little while, Max.
Let's and we just covered the Eagles, and now we're going to quickly segue over to the Phillies, but let's talk about this team real quick. I know you have a big input on this, and I know you have a stance. You want to get first? You want to go first?
You got it.
All right, so let's talk about this team. Matt Klentak, as much as people want to criticize him, and the fact that he goes into a season and doesn't think you need to address the bullpen is mind blowing. That is mind blowing. Okay, but I will give him credit in terms of it makes it even worse to me when he put together this lineup. Okay, where you sent me a stat about September 6th or September 8th. You sent me a text. If the Phillies bullpen did not blow the leads where they led by 2 runs, it was like 2 runs, they would have been 30-9 at that time. So what does that show you about this team? One, they can hit with anyone. Their offense is incredible. Okay, their offense is producing and they've played well. Second of all, it shows you how pathetic this bullpen is. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. And I played baseball, and I grew up playing baseball, played in high school, played in college, and I have never seen a bullpen crumble and lose games the way this Philadelphia Phillies bullpen. And you know, I feel bad for Joe Girardi, because every day he has to come on and speak about this bullpen. And he's out of answers. I feel bad that the JT Realmuto is going to be a free agent eventually, and he's going to weigh this option. He's going to see this and be like, do I really want to be a part of this? They are grinding the offense, and they're playing well. And we'll get into the defense. Defense is playing. It hasn't played great. But it is a joke, a disgrace that Matt Klentak, first, doesn't bring anyone in when you see other teams signing relievers. And secondly, goes out and trades for guys. And the guys they bring in, Workman, who's pathetic. He's horrible. Okay, he should not be. He is terrible. I don't care about his stats last year. He's freaking terrible. He is not good. And I know we have different opinions on Hector Neris. Hector Neris is terrible. Okay, Hector Neris is not a good pitcher at all. I know you think he's all right. He's freaking terrible. Okay, and it is just pathetic that this team is going through this right now. And he tried to even upgrade the bullpen, and it's even worse than it was.
Yeah, I mean, just here's a little stat I saw today, as it were. Philadelphia Phillies bullpen this year, -7 WAR, right? That is the 20th worst of all time. And that is not considering the fact that it's a 60-game season rather than 162. If you annualize that to 162 games, it is a negative 20 WAR, which is almost twice the second worst season a bullpen has ever had in MLB history. I think someone had 11. And as someone who's crazy enough to think we're still going to win games and stay up until 10:30 at night, just to watch, hopefully, fingers crossed, the bullpen come in a game and just watch them over and over and over and over. blow games. I mean, you look at our division, 3-run leads blown. The Phillies have blown 7 3-run leads that they've lost. Like, I mean, I think like the Braves have 1 and like the Marlins have 2. No wonder they're ahead of us. And the crazy thing is, you look at like where we are right now. If the Marlins lose tonight, the Phillies have off. If the Marlins lose tonight, we are tied with them for second place in the NL East.
Which is not fine.
And they're going in. We talked about this last night. They're going to that series against the Yankees, and the Yankees they're fighting for seeding games, so they should be playing hard. Especially a team that's been up and down this year. The Yankees probably just want to go into the postseason on a high note.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw, and hopefully, the Phillies, carry a little momentum off of Eflin's start last night.
It's great.
And
He's really good.
We need 2 out of 3. I think we obviously we got to sweep.
Yeah, at
but
least 2.
2 out of 3, I think we have a shot because I think if I was a betting man, I think the Yankees are going to take 2 out of 3 against the Marlins, and I think 2 out of 3 against the Rays would get us there. And the Rays were smoking stogies in the dugout yesterday, so hopefully they're a little relaxed now and
hopefully
feel it because we need it.
I know we've talked about too, like they don't throw a lot of fastballs. The Phillies bullpen, they're not getting ahead. They're using their off, trying to work backwards, use their off speed to get ahead of guys. It's like and first off, none of our relievers throw hard. Throwing 90 to 94 these days is not hard. Okay, that's nothing. We need to get ahead with our fastballs. We need to establish a zone and take command on the mound. We don't do that. You see every guy that come in, and it's just you can tell that you feel like they're not confident. They don't feel ready to pitch, and you almost know it's going to happen every time. Up here we go again, and it's just I don't know what you have to do to get to these pitchers. I mean, you need to really address this bullpen in the offseason because if they don't
the offseason, I'm flushing this bullpen on the toilet. I'm getting as many from people as I possibly can. I mean, there's just how can you rebound from that? Like the fact that Brandon Workman was out after giving up that walk-off home run last series, trying to say like my confidence is still there. That's not the problem. It's like bullshit. Your confidence is there. Like, I mean, come on, it's horrendous. And like just going off of that, like the 3 hardest throwing pitchers we have on our team are our 3 best starting pitchers. Wheeler, Nola, and Eflin. Maybe JoJo Romero gets up there a little bit, but consistently best fastballs on our team are our top 3 starters, and that's not how it should be. You look at playoff teams, you're bringing in 97 to 100, like
with an
slot lefties, just specialists. We don't have a single specialist in our bullpen.
Especially we don't have pitchers in our bullpen.
Yeah, it's like your specialties come out here and serve a fastball and a tee to give a walk-off home run.
And you know what? It's just I don't get it. I just don't get what the deal is. And what makes it even worse, you see Nick Pivetta goes out for the Red Sox and starts in 7-8 Ks. Like, of course.
You want to hear something funny? I haven't looked at it recently, but as of this time last week, Jake Diekman had a 0 ERA.
Traded him with Hamels.
We basically said, oh, here's the Cole Hamels trade. Take Jake Diekman for free because we're idiots.
Yeah, so when's the last time the Phillies have made a trade? When they traded Cliff Lee, they traded Cole Hamels, they've traded Jimmy Rollins, they've traded Chase. I understand some of those guys with later ends of their careers, but when is the last time the Phillies really brought back a legit prospect from a trade? The Hamels trade, you're supposed to get Jake Thompson, Nick Williams. They both sucked. They were nothing. Alec Asher was nothing. They got the lefty Matt Harrison. He didn't pan out. And it's just a shame. Then to even let's talk about prospects. Did you hear what Matt Klentak said about JT? Yeah, so when we knew we were trading for JT, we knew we were getting 2 years of control. So you're telling me, Matt, you're giving up your top prospect pitch, your top overall prospect, who is like your Juan Soto or like Acuna of our team and of our organization, and you're going to trade him for a catcher, but you have 2 years of 2 years of control with, and you're not winning a World Series. And look, I think JT is awesome. I think he is great, and I hopefully believe they will re-sign him. But if that's the reason you made the trade, Matt, that's unreal. That is so, like Stephen A would say, that's blasphemous. That's pathetic.
I think I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's not that stupid. I think he's just like, like a pretty like awkward guy socially. I think he's basically. I think he was trying to say like he's like, you're only guaranteed 2 years. And, like he just doesn't he doesn't feel well. He doesn't have a grasp what the fans think. Like if he was smart, he would say like I mean, obviously you don't want to give up leverage, but you just say like something like like we're hopeful that after the season, the two sides can come together and figure something out. That's all you have to say. It's like we're hopeful, like show that you are going to try to make it happen. He comes out there with his sunken chest, all sad looking, with his new stupid haircut. You see, like they got like the comb back.
Yeah.
It's like what the heck is wrong with that guy? I mean, he played baseball at Yale or whatever.
He's a shortstop at Yale, and guess what? He doesn't resign. If they don't resign him, Bryce Harper's going to have a problem. Bryce Harper is going to have a major problem.
Oh yeah,
with this organization.
So is Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler, has talked about liking playing with JT.
Yeah,
part of the reason he came to Philadelphia. You don't think Aaron Nola likes playing with one of the best catchers in baseball? He saves runs while they're on the mound. That directly benefits them.
Yeah, I mean I don't know what Matt Kleptek's doing. I know he came out and said he was proud. He was really is there a cat?
Yeah.
I know he came out. Oh, look at that. I know he came out and was saying how he's proud of this team. And Matt, what are you proud of, bro? That you're proud that your team is fighting and have to score 6 to 7 runs a game to win because your pitching is absolutely horrendous. Like,
yeah, they've been trying really hard to tread water in the pool that you threw them in with an anchor tied to their foot.
Yeah.
So they haven't died yet like you hope they would. So I guess that's. I mean, I don't know what his end goal is right now. Like, who knows?
I don't know.
The crazy thing is, I'm so scarred by the Philadelphia Phillies over the last decade that I legitimately was excited when we traded for Hembree and Work because I just had the eternal optimist. Like, you just have to hope. Like, it has to be better than what we've been dealing with, and it's not. And you just get another pile of crap.
Yeah. And then Tommy Hunter comes out, like it was a couple weeks ago or a month ago. He's like, it wasn't our best, right? It's like, Tommy Hunter, keep it to yourself, big guy. He's pitched terribly all year too. So
Sean Rodriguez last year complaining about getting booed, calling the fans entitled.
Yeah, he may have been the worst baseball player I've ever seen play for the Phillies. So he was terrible. But you know what? We'll see. I mean, we'll definitely touch base again, but hopefully this weekend for the Sunday goes well and the Phillies pull it out. So I want to thank all you guys for tuning in. We're definitely going to continue doing this channel. So again, from Philly Sports Experts, thanks for tuning in.